Hi everyone, I'm Alexandra Hussenot, the founder of Immersionn, and I'm building a virtual reality discovery engine for immersive content. With 5G, with its high speed and low latency, it's the ideal route to market for my company. Because we want to eliminate downloading application and we want to enable VR application and 360 videos to be streamed seamlessly. We also want to provide access to the VR content via the web, so it can be accessed from any device, such as any VR headsets, any mobile phones, and laptops. But here today, I'm here to talk about virtual reality and how is the future of experiential and discovery. First, let's start with a little bit of history and numbers about VR. And I wanted to take that history a little bit personal, because I guess some of you have had the same experience through your childhood. Way before I was born, a guy called Hugo Gernsback, he is the father of science fiction, and he invented the television eyeglasses. They were working pretty much the same way as the current head-mounted displays. They had two displays and placed in a stereoscopic way. A little bit after that, when I was a toddler, my mother was one of those women that was carrying a portable computer. She was a high-flying executive for a publisher, and she basically had to fight really hard to stay in that position as a woman. So she carried her computer, first portable display, around at work, at home, and even on Sunday brunches. One day, when I was a teenager, my dad came home with a car phone. I remember the price of that phone because there was a bit of arguments about it. It was 30,000 francs. That's the equivalent of 8,000 euros today. So that's quite a significant amount. But the positive argument was that now we had portable communication. My father, who was a salesperson, was able to talk to his customers on the way in the car, so the cost of this phone was actually justified. Totally by accident, I ended up working with Ericsson and then Sony Ericsson in Stockholm and then in Germany. It was an amazing time because from 1999 to 2007, the mobile phone industry went from 0% penetration globally to 60%. Everybody suddenly started to have mobile phones, and that was incredible. And I thought that one of the mediums that really enabled it to be part of our lives was music. And so I have selected a little extract from the Sony Ericsson Walkman phone of the time. So, we had a phone, we had the music, but we were missing one thing. You know what? The internet. So this very clever guy that you all know, he brought the internet inside the phone, and that changed pretty much everything. We now had tons of applications, and I think that's pretty much when Gmails or doing your emails on your phone became totally mainstream for everyone, not just BlackBerry owners. So now what's happening next? About a few years ago, so 2012, a guy called Palmer Luckey, he managed to raise $2.4 million on Kickstarter. And he was backed by over 9,000 gamers for this. So it's very interesting because you have to remember that virtual reality the new generation of virtual reality comes from gaming. So it has fun in its DNA. It has experiential in its DNA. How many of you have tried an Oculus headset? Could you raise your hand? Yeah, quite a lot. So about a third, maybe a bit more. And I think in the next few years, this is totally going to change. You are all about to have VR headsets or AR glasses, or maybe a combination of the two in your pockets very, very soon. Late in 2019, Qualcomm released the XR2 5G chipset, and these chipsets allow, in the second half of this year, you will probably start to see a lot of VR or AR glasses that are much slimmer than the kind of cosmonauts VR headsets we are seeing today. And that's very exciting. So what's going to happen is the computing power of the VR headset is going to be put out to the cloud. And you're going to be left with some beautiful glasses. Some of them have started to be released in terms of design. They're not working, but they would look like Gucci glasses or Ray-Ban. And that's quite exciting, because I think at the moment, even for me, as a VR developer, I'm not always carrying around my VR headset, but I will definitely carry around glasses. The market size. Market size for VR today is 31 million active users. It's going to grow to 168 million users by 2023. It's quite a large growth. And you have to imagine that XR is a lot bigger. I talk a lot about VR today because that's my specialty, but AR allows a lot more, a much bigger market. About 10 times that market. So in terms of revenue, let's say, in 2019, the VR market was $6 billion, and it's going to grow to $14 billion by 2023. That's an average compound annual growth rate of 31%. Pretty exciting sector to be in. 1/3 of this revenue is going to come from consumer and enterprise software applications, so experiences. Another big part is going to be from the hardware. So it's going to be a very exciting area to be in if you're a VR developer. So now I thought, I'm painting this nice picture of where we are heading, and I'm going to go back to it in a moment. But I'm also wanted to highlight some of the bit of the dark sides of technologies and the risks. Today, the #1 fear of young people is loneliness before losing a job or a home. It's quite dramatic. That picture on the left, I live in London, and it's not uncommon at all in London. It's very normal. The picture on the right is from one of my favorite movies called The Congress, and I really invite you to see it if you haven't. It depicts a very dark future for humanity where we have all become digital twins, and we live in a parallel world. And in this case, people are like zombies. They really don't eat or sleep anymore, and they are just in that entertainment world. So of course, we don't want it to become that. We spend about 12 hours a day today on our phones. That's an interesting statistics. Another interesting statistics I thought was that our brain can handle 100 bytes per second. And 5G can handle 1 gigabyte per second and more. So the tools we are going to need in the future to filter the information for us and to give us perspective of what we are looking at are going to be damn important in showing us what we want. And we know that today we are not always seeing what we want. For the Davos 2019 summit, the World Economic Forum surveyed 18,000 people, adults, in 26 countries to find out what they thought about privacy. And they found that only 36% of people trusted the organization they were giving their data to. and 1/3 knew what they were actually doing with the data. So of course, all this whistleblowing came following the Cambridge Analytica scandal. And I think perhaps a few of you don't know, what can we do with this now? We have this information, we all know about it. What can we do? There are some people that are working in the XR sector, in lobbying, so that we can take back control of our privacy and this become an open standard. So I'll invite you to support the Open AR Cloud. They've created a privacy manifesto, which is, I think, a great starting point. And 2 of my favorite points in this manifesto is freedom from being identified and consent must be limited by context. So, for example, today I'm standing here doing this presentation, and I have totally agreed before I went to this stage, I signed a paper that it's okay to broadcast this video and to stream it on the internet. It's okay also because today I'm at my best and I have my makeup on and everything, and so I'm okay with it. It would be very different if I was broadcasted at every time of my life and anyone could see it. So that would be the freedom of being identified. And then the consent must be limited to context. The typical app I use a lot is Google Maps. And I use Google Maps because I want to go places. But I don't want Google Maps to use this data to push advertising to me. It's not the same context. Just 2 examples. So now enough about talking of the dark sides of virtual and augmented realities and technologies in general. I would like to take you through a few use cases. The National Research Group did a survey end of 2019 with 1,500 US consumers. And what they wanted to find out is what are the most exciting applications for consumers and what are the most useful applications. So for me, this was, of course, a very interesting study to read. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take you through a few of those examples, not all of them. And each time I have selected examples of startups that are led by female founders. Because I'm the lead for Women in Immersive Technologies in the UK, I very much want you to also see the pipeline of amazing female entrepreneurs there is in this sector. I start with most exciting, and I was very happy to find out that it was traveling anywhere in the world in 360, because that's pretty much where I have started my company, Minimum Viable Product. But I think the one that did that very, very well before me was Google, with Google Earth. Google Earth is an absolutely amazing application. I don't know if you've tried it, but you can basically own the Earth with a remote control, spin it, fly in, and then they have embedded street view. So when you come close enough to an object or to a street, you can actually get a 360 picture of that place. What I have focused on with Immersionn is proposing immersive journalism with a similar idea that you'd spin the world, you'd select a location, and then you would be able to dive into 360 documentaries by professional medias and creators. Today we have content from Dagens Nyheter, which is a Swedish media company, Euronews and TF1, and we are scaling with more content. I'm also very excited about the idea to create immersive live streams and news, live news, so that it's this idea of being anytime, anywhere, live. It's kind of space-time, we're challenging space-time, and it's not science fiction, it's real, it's there. Enabling discovery of the world is not just for us in the Western world to go to exotic places, but it's also for people in the developing world to explore the rest of the world when they can't do it today. This picture was taken by Angie Davis, a brilliant creator, and it's a Samburu warrior in his first virtual reality experience. He is traveling to Guatemala. I really think as well that VR can take journalism to the edge. And I remember when I got this piece of content, onto my platform. It was just a week within the uprising events in Gaza in, I think, late 2018. For me at the time, I really felt like I was in the real time together with the journalists looking at the events. And that was super exciting. There are many other applications very useful. So holographic communication. Here I will name MetaStage. It's a fantastic volumetric capture studio in Los Angeles. And the founder, Christina Heller, I met her last year at the NAB. It's quite impressive what you can do. And by the way, if you don't know what volumetric capture is, you can go, there is a virtual reality stand here from the University of Bauhaus, and they have done an amazing volumetric capture of a whole village with drones. Pretty impressive demo. But what you can do with volumetric capture of human beings is that you create digital twins, and in the future, those digital twins could be a second us that we experience in a virtual world. What's seeing exciting very much as well is how you can use virtual reality and augmented reality in sports and events. I was just given an article that the Oscars, they have enabled people in New York to attend the red carpet in Los Angeles just by giving them VR headsets and live streaming it in real time. And I think this is quite cool to be able to expand an event beyond its existing location. There's another great woman who is the founder of Smartify. And Smartify is one of the most downloaded museum augmented reality apps. It's very helpful. I have kids, and they don't like museums. They're one of those kids. But with apps like this, it's really helping. I can download the app, and then they can point at objects, and it explains the story of the object. The interaction of technology really enables them to want to explore the space a little bit more. For workout and fitness, it's really cool as well, and I would say we are going towards the very useful applications here. Immersive rehab, created by Isabel van der Keer, enables people to re-educate typically after strokes. She had a very big accident herself, and that's after that she decided to create this company. Basically, re-education is very painful, and being able to gamify and put a VR headset takes the user outside of the space and of the pain, and it allows to accelerate the rehabilitation process. And then there is interactive learning. I find it funny still that they've left all this big white space. At least this is what I'm searching now. I'm like, OK, what's in the middle of the white space? Sorry. So I think interactive learning is towards that direction. It's very useful, and if the application is well done, it's very exciting as well. I think that's one. Sorry, I think that's one of the most revenue-generating area at the moment, and where a lot of VR and AR startups are spending their energy because there is a market and there is investments from enterprises. They have understood that learning can be more fun using these kind of technologies, and they can also save costs from their employees, from training their employees. So virtual speech. Sophie Thompson is the co-founder, UK company. It's really cool. Basically, you put a VR headset and you are in a TED Talk. It's fantastic because they have integrated it with IBM Watson as well, so you get real-time feedback about your tone of voice and where you're looking at. Really cool. OK. Now we're almost reaching the end of this presentation. I will maybe allow for a few minutes Q&A, but before I do that, I would like to invite you to connect with me after. My contact details are here. If you want to create virtual reality or augmented reality experiences, if you are a creator, a telecommunication operator, someone who wants to create 360 live streams, or an event maker, please do reach out and let's see if we can do some work together. Thank you. And I was told, so we have 5 minutes left, and I was told that there is a ball I can throw at people. And then you are, I think if I do that, you are obliged to ask a question. And I thought I was going to try it because it's really fun. Okay?
Whoa. Okay. Cool. So your company already has some kind of products to offer, right? Can you maybe shortly tell about them?
Yes, sure. Let me quickly go back. This is the application as it is today. Basically, we have 360 videos embedded in a web VR application accessible from any browser. You can, as you can see, you could see it in 2D like that, and you can browse in 2D, but it's not made for it. It's made to be inside the universe and to dive into the content. So everything, even the user interface, is universal. So I haven't used any controller because I want absolutely that it's accessible from any sort of device. That's what we have right now. I hope in a couple of weeks we will launch a new feature that's really exciting with a big UK broadcaster related to being able to live stream content, live content, yeah. I think. So is it up for the user to have its own hardware to experience it? Yes, it's up to the user. So many people don't have a VR headset today, and that's why I think it's quite interesting to try to stick to the web and have a user interface that allows you to experience something, even when you have just on your phone or on the laptop. No preferred partner, totally agnostic. We want to stay totally agnostic.
Yeah, I just wondered if you had any opinion on venue-based VR, and can you think of anywhere that does it successfully?
For venue-based VR?
Venue-based VR, yeah, for kind of audiences to attend VR events, that kind of thing.
I don't have stats, is the thing.
Any examples of good places?
Of good places?
Good venues that are already kind of offering VR products to audiences.
In London, we see a lot of theaters implementing VR technologies. That's quite interesting, and augmented reality technologies. I was also in Shenzhen in December, and there was a whole theater that was organized around this. I think a lot of normal, old, traditional venues are now trying to bring those technologies into the space because it's interesting and it's new. I remember being once also, I was like the actor on stage. I was the viewer, but I became the actor of the scene. That was quite interesting, and so I had a VR headset, and then the actor was playing and was changing. He was changing role all the time. I didn't realize it was always the same person. So they were reinventing theater there. That was quite exciting. What I can say about VR impact in general is that we found that it has at least twice the impact of another type of media. So in bringing it into a venue, whatever is the experience, I think it's probably quite engaging for any user.
Thanks.
Last one? You have to throw it.
The area of consumer adoption, it's obviously been very slow. It's kind of had a few false stones. Do you think the glasses are going to be that point now that suddenly the world starts using
Yes.
VR?
I mean, you can't go around with this. It's the same a bit with the portable computer at the time, you know. You can't, only a few people who really need it right now are going to use these. But when it's portable and it's cool as well, I think this is when we will see a mass adoption. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Will
Thank you.
Do you want me to chuck it again? No?
No, thank you. Keep it. Don't throw it to me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.